Pakistan has shocked the United States by allowing Iran to bypass its naval blockade at the Hormuz Strait. So, this not only gives an immediate relief for Iran, but it also raises a troubling question. Is Pakistan playing a deadly double game and ditching Donald Trump? So, let's quickly understand this important development. Let's talk about the trade routes and corridors that Pakistan is opening up for Iran and what implications will it have for the conflict and the peace process. And more importantly, does this development threaten India's interests in the region? According to reports, last week, the Pakistani Ministry of Commerce issued a notification on April 25th, which allows Iran to make use of six overland trade corridors that Iran can use to access Russia, China, and other global markets. This brings a much needed relief and an economic breather for Iran. Because ever since the war began, Iran has leveraged its access and control over Hormuz to impose a blockade that has pushed the global oil prices upwards as nearly 20% of global oil supplies passes through it. Now, as the conflict continued, the United States has resorted to a counter blockade to block Iranian vessels and Iranian ports in order to levy a heavy economic cost on Iran. Even as Pakistan is acting as a mediator to work out the Islamabad talks to try and mediate a peace deal between US and Iran, it has always been questioned whether Pakistan can truly act as a neutral mediator. In fact, the Israeli envoy to India had remarked that Pakistan is an unreliable actor. Even Iran had pointed out that though it shares good ties with Pakistan, it can't trust Pakistan entirely as it always plays to the American interests. The US has always had its doubts as well, as Pakistan is known to play such double games, trying to work out its own interests. So, with Pakistan allowing Iran to bypass the American blockade, it not only gives a big relief for Iran, but this could end up derailing the entire peace process itself. Now, let's quickly understand which are those exact trade routes. But before we talk about that, I have a very important announcement. If you're a prelims aspirant planning to appear in 2026 prelims, there is a golden opportunity for you to attempt a all India prelims test series. This would be extremely helpful even for 2027 aspirants. You will get to attempt 30 tests, including full length mock tests, as well as the CSAT papers. Now, this program is priced at 4,999 for our paid students. But to help all the students for free, Unacademy has come out with this initiative where you can access the test series at just 1 rupee. And this special offer would be available only for 4 days from 1st May to 4th of May. So by attempting this, you will get access to 8 sectional tests, 11 GS full length mock tests, and as well as 11 full length CSAT papers as well. You will also get an all India rank and you will get to test your preparation. So those interested, please enroll now by using the link provided in the description box below. So coming back to the topic, let's take a look at the overland land routes that Pakistan has opened up for Iran. According to this notification issued by Pakistani government, there are 6 specific routes that Pakistan is opening up. See, Iran has a long history of using Pakistani territorial waters to navigate its ships, especially when US military presence has increased as a result of the conflict and US has levied a blockade over here. Iran has been trying to use the territorial waters, which is up to 12 nautical miles from its baseline, and it also hugs very close to Pakistan's coastline to try and enter the Indian Ocean region. Usually, these Iranian vessels or vessels headed towards Iran, they switch off the transponders. That's what we call as a shadow fleet to avoid being detected by the US Navy. Since Iran is under sanctions, such shadow shipping is quite common in these waters. But however, the Pakistani port of Karachi, Port Qasim, is extensively used by Iranian vessels where a lot of cargo headed towards Iran has been stationed. Goods coming from Russia, China, and other countries, they have placed up to 3,000 containers of cargo, which is supposed to head towards Iran. But because of the conflict, the movement of vessels were completely disrupted. And now Pakistan has provided this big breather for Iran by opening up these 6 corridors. More importantly, Pakistan is giving access to the strategic Gwadar port and as well as Port Qasim at Karachi. These two strategic major ports of Iran are being opened up for Iranian access. So let's see how this route will actually work. So out of these six routes, they will mainly connect with the land crossings, the border crossings at Gabd and Taftan. These are two important strategic border crossings between Iran and Pakistan, essentially located in the Balochistan region. So goods which are already stranded at Karachi port, there are 3,000 plus containers headed towards Iran. They can now be moved through the coastal highway via Lyari. Yes, the same Lyari that you have seen in Durandar, towards the Pasni port and naval base, and towards Gwadar, which is a China developed and China operated port as part of CPEC project. From Gwadar, it's a very short distance to Gabad border crossing that you can see in the image over here. It's just a 2 to 3 hour journey by road from the Gwadar port to Gabad border crossing. Compared to the other routes that Pakistan is opening up, the routes that connect with Taftan border crossing from Karachi, these are much longer routes. This route will take anywhere between 16 to 18 hours, and even the cost of transportation will shoot up. Whereas the Gwadar and the Gabad border crossing route will significantly cut the travel time and the cost to just maybe around 2 to 3 hours, and it will reduce the cost of transportation by nearly 45 to 55%. So there's a significant cost advantage and provides for better logistics flow between Iran and Pakistan. Now, through these six corridors that extends from Gwadar port and Port Qasim towards Gabad and Taftan, Iran can easily bring the goods into the country that are coming in from other parts of the world, especially from allies like China and Russia. It can even push out oil supplies towards China by using the CPEC corridor. Iran can get direct access to China's Xinjiang province through the CPEC corridor. And this provides a much needed relief for Iran as it can engage in continued trade and bypass the American blockade altogether. Now, to understand why this is so significant, you need to look at the extent that Pakistan has actually gone to. See, Iran and Pakistan had already signed a transport agreement back in 2008 that would provide for cross border movement of vehicles, passengers, and goods. But this was never operationalized because Iran heavily relied on seaports for transportation. Iran would use Chabahar, Bandar Abbas, and other major ports for exports and imports. But now that this route is blockaded and it's not viable for Iranian trade, Pakistan's land route is being used to access Pakistani ports like Gwadar and Karachi. And Pakistan has also extended the required financial guarantees that are required. That's a Pakistani legal requirement. The equivalent of the duties, they have to be paid as a deposit. And Pakistani banks will provide this cost to the traders and the transporters. And Pakistan is also ensuring that the custom laws will not become a hurdle, and it's trying to facilitate smooth exchange of goods across the border region. So Pakistan also plans to benefit from this as Pakistan can levy some duties as a transit fee, a transit access fee, and it also strengthens its own strategic position as it can act as a bridge connecting Iran with China, Iran with Russia. Because if you can see here in the map, from Iran to China, the connection via Pakistan is a very viable route. And from here, Iran can even extend towards the Azerbaijan route, which anyways it has access to through the Caspian Sea, and continue its trade with Russia, thus allowing Iran to sustain its economy for the time being. But this raises some very deep, uncomfortable questions for India. If Pakistan is agreeing to allow Iran to use Gwadar port and the CPEC route to connect with China, then this has implications for India's territorial sovereignty and integrity. Because the strategic Gwadar port, built by China, funded by China, it's operated by a Chinese company, the Chinese Overseas Port Holding Company. And it's part of China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative. So China relies heavily on the Gwadar port in order to bypass Malacca Strait, which is a strategic choke point for China. So through the CPEC corridor, China can easily access West Asian countries, the Persian Gulf, and source oil and gas from here, as China also depends heavily on oil gas imports from the West Asian countries. And more importantly, Iran is critical for China's energy security as it supplies 13% of China's oil import requirement. And Iran also provides oil supplies at a discount to China as Iran is hit with sanctions and China is one of the few countries which continues to buy its oil. So this trade between them can be very easily facilitated. But the concern for India would be not just the double game of Pakistan and the growing profile of Pakistan in Washington, in Tehran, and in other capitals, but if Pakistan allows Iran to use the contentious CPEC route, it passes through Pakistan occupied Kashmir, which is Indian territory that's illegally occupied by Pakistan. So here Pakistan has leased the Shaksgam Valley located over here to China through a 1963 boundary agreement. India objects to any such transfer of Indian territory. We also oppose the Pakistani illegal occupation. And that's one reason why India has boycotted the CPEC project and the larger Belt and Road Initiative. Because this Chinese project, where China has created transport infrastructure through Shaksgam Valley and POK, it directly threatens India's sovereignty and integrity. Now, if Iran were to start moving oil gas to Xinjiang through CPEC corridor via Pakistan occupied Kashmir, this could potentially push Iran to change its position with regard to the Kashmir issue. In the past, Iran has sometimes taken an anti India stand, raising questions about India's claims. And this has even affected India Iran relations in the past. But however, Iran has also shown that delicate balance whenever India and Iran had managed to rebuild their relationship. But now, if Iran were to rely on Pakistan to access China, and if China were to be playing this role where it's bringing all these allies together and establishing this greater trade corridor, that would enhance Pakistan's profile. It would enhance the priority and importance of the Gwadar port, and it could even undermine our sovereignty and our territorial claims with regard to POK. Because Iran could then end up siding with China and Pakistan with regard to the Kashmir issue as well. Now, another important point is that the Gwadar port has long been positioned as a north-south axis that is mainly dominated and controlled by China. Gwadar port's prominence lies in the fact that it gives that north axis connection from China towards West Asia. But with this link, Pakistan can now establish that Gwadar port can even offer a east-west linkage. It can offer a east-west linkage connecting Pakistan, Iran with the other regions over here, all the way till Russia, Europe towards China. And that enhances the profile of Gwadar port and its strategic location near the Hormuz Strait. So these are the immediate implications that we can anticipate. And we would like to wait and watch as to how things would develop because there is a possibility that this development could further instigate the US. The US might lose further faith on Pakistan as a neutral mediator. And could this impact the peace process itself? But as of now, the peace process is stalled. Iran has vehemently said it will not enter the peace talks unless and until US lifts the blockade. And US also has said it will not lift the blockade unless and until Iran lifts the blockade at Hormuz and agrees to make commitments on its nuclear program. Maybe this could just be a pressure tactic as well, where Pakistan is assisting Iran to create that leverage over the US to pave the way for the talks and convince US to lift its blockade. Anyways, let's wait and watch as to what happens, and we will continue to follow this story. But before we end this small session, I want you to take down this practice question. UPSC is known to ask map-based prelims questions. Here I've listed a set of border crossings that are in news. The Gabd border crossing, Torkam, Chaman, matched with the countries which are linked through these border crossings. Pakistan, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Azerbaijan. Now you need to check whether these pairs are correctly matched or not. So I want you guys to answer this one and please let me know the correct answer in the comment section below. So that's it. Thanks for watching. If you like the session, do hit the like button. Share your comments. What do you think? Is Pakistan double dealing with the US? Can Pakistan be trusted as a mediator? Let me know in the comments and subscribe to our channel.